How is it going, Robot Wars fans? Hardcore Kid here, reporting to you live from an undisclosed location.
Thousands of miles beneath the Earth's crust!
And I am here with my friend Otaku Nate.
Yes, Otaku Nate, who has not uploaded an episode in some time. I'll upload it when I feel like it, okay? Motivating myself to sit down and edit for hours on end is hard, okay?
And, I know, some of you guys are wondering what I'm thinking of, the new season of Robot Wars coming up on Sunday. I would like to tell you guys right now, I am really excited. The last season, it was good. It had its problems, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked a lot of the new robots. I liked some of the returning bots. And in the end, the right robot won. Apollo, the big flipper, ended up becoming the 2006 Robot Wars champion.
2016.
What did I say?
You said 2006. Like Bram in that one episode of TNA. I'm gonna be the TNA World Champion in 2006.
Well, Chronic the Wedgehog, I believe, was the Roaming Robots champion, and they're virtually the same bot.
Well, I'm not sure if that should count or not, but I guess I'll give you my thoughts too, since you gave me yours. I really enjoyed the Robot Wars reboot. I actually watched it twice. Once by my lonesome and once with my family, because my family actually has some memories of me growing up and watching Robot Wars back when it aired on Tech TV. God rest in peace, that network.
Well, really, Robot Wars was the only show that I actually watched on that channel. Have you ever seen X-Play?
I used to watch X-Play until the hostile takeover of G4. I think I TiVo'd a few episodes of Invent This, but we're getting off topic.
Yeah. So anyway, this Sunday on March 5th, it's the season premiere, Heat A, of what is known as the Ninth Wars.
Series 9, as they're calling it. I don't think they call it the Ninth Wars.
Oh, they will. Trust me, they will.
I hope so, too.
They have to. So, so they just released the roster of robots that are going to be participating this season. A lot of returning faces, and also a lot of new machines. A lot of very interesting ones. And, well, we were a bit skeptical going into it because there were a lot of robots that unfortunately didn't return this year.
Apparently they had well over 150 different entries.
Yeah. And how many bots are in this tournament? There's 5 heats.
40
bots, yeah.
Same as last year.
So yeah. But with that said, we're gonna do a little recap. We're gonna give our own thoughts on all 40 of these bots.
And we're gonna do it by ripping off Sam Elliott 64 and Jim Dramatic.
Hey, I love those guys.
I do too.
They're like, if you're not a wrestling fan, you probably never heard of Brian and Vinny. They do like recaps of wrestling shows, and Sam Elliott and Anderson and a lot of those other guys. Sometimes they bring special guests from the show on there, like Craig Danby of Foxic fame. Who else?
Dave Laurie,
Will Thomas of Shockwave fame. Yeah, it's a good listen to, and they just released a 3-hour video where they recapped all 40 bots. Hopefully, our video doesn't go that long, but
I don't think we will. I don't think it'll go that long, but you're gonna be sitting here for like an hour or so, and if that's the case, then put this on while you're working out, or if you're in a car or something, or if you're just typing something and have nothing better to listen to.
Yeah, or if you're going on a road trip to your next robot event, like usually, like sometimes I go to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania for Motorama, or Pennsylvania Bot Blast in Bloomsburg. Those are 2.5, 3-hour drives, so this kind of stuff, this is a good listen to while you're on your way.
Indeed. So let's stop beating around the bush and let's get into the preview proper. And we're going to start at the top with Heat 1, or Heat A, with Aftershock.
Oh, this from Will Thomas. They got it, who built Shockwave and Manta from the Roaming Robot Circuit. And this, if you look back, Shockwave, it was a very interesting robot. It had like a 360-degree lifting arm, kind of like Probophobia from the US series.
I believe it's lifting shovel or scoop.
Shovel. It was a good design. It was well driven. Will Thomas is a great bot builder. But this looks like a monster.
Oh my god, I am in love with this thing. It kind of reminds me of a more squat, more compact version of the Series 7 X-Terminator, like from the initial look of it, but it's actually a heavyweight version of Team Shock's featherweight Inertia.
Yeah, it really reminds me of one of my fellow bot builders in the Northeast. His name is Kyle Singer. He built a series of insect bots, which he calls Ripto. He's built an ant-weight Ripto, beetle-weight Ripto, a hobby-weight and a featherweight version, which he calls Big Ripto. And it has basically the same design as Aftershock. Aftershock is a big vertical single-toothed disc spinner with a wedge on the front. And it's basically got the same design, and it's kind of like if Kyle Singer built a heavyweight version. And, really funny story. Kyle's Ripto is hands down one of the most powerful vertical spinners in the Northeast. And multiple times he's caused serious damage to the arenas it's fought in. Like when I went to the Franklin Institute event in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Kyle was fighting Jamison Go's Megatron, which is basically a featherweight version of BattleBot's competitor Sawblaze.
Megatron.
I call it Megatron. And what happened was, first of all, he broke the Megatron's saw blade in half. And then he hit the dustpan. It's kind of like Megatron is basically a dustpan.
Wedge.
But it's basically like the same kind of design. But he hit Megatron's big wedge, and it went flying right through the air into the ceiling and came crashing down, completely destroying a big piece of the ceiling, and the match had to be stopped.
Oh, what a feeling when your robot hits the ceiling.
And that doesn't even stop from there. Like at Motorama that I went to last month, he fought a full-bodied spinner called Trigo, and he sent Trigo flying into the Lexan next to where the judges are. He broke the Lexan, and he also broke part of the arena wall. And it's like, my God, could you imagine if there was a heavyweight version of Ripto? This has to be the closest to a heavyweight Ripto.
It's one of my favorites to win the series, too.
Oh, my God.
You're going to be hearing about my mom a lot in this review because she watched Robot Wars with me, but my mom is a fan of Team Shock she was a fan of Team Shock by the end of the series. She was actually really surprised with how well Shockwave did in its heat, and she's going to be very happy to see Ian and Will back again, and I am willing to see what Aftershock can do in the arena.
So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. So, let's move on to the next competitor, shall we? This is from a team that has been around pretty much from the beginning. Cranky.
Not the crane.
Or the donkey on My Little Pony.
No, this is Cranky from Team Cold Fusion, captained by Robin Herrick, and God bless him. And can I do my part here?
Go ahead.
Of all the robots in the last series, Killy Cranky was hands down my least favorite robot.
Yeah, it kind of looked like a Diet S3.
A lot of people hate Killy Cranky for what it did to Razor, but I just didn't like it.
It's a curse. It's like whenever Razor fights a machine from Team Cold Fusion, they can't beat us.
Well, Razor kind of...
Pussycat destroyed it twice.
Razor did itself in with Killy Cranky, but... The first Killy Cranky looked like a... Yeah, you said Diet S3. I say it looks like bad plumbing.
Bad plumbing with a small disc on the front.
And they bring back a new version of Cranky. They drop the Killy, and it looks really good. I like the look of it. It feels like, design-wise, it kind of looks like a piece of butterfly pasta. But I actually think it's more akin... It's like a logical extension of Body Hammer. It's this very industrial, grungy sort of looking robot. I like the way it looks, the way you can see all the rivets on the front. It's just an all-around wonderful looking robot.
And it looks much better. It looks a lot more protected. It's got... Looks like two big vertical spinning discs on the front, so hopefully it's more effective than Killy Cranky was.
Also, it has the googly eyes.
Hey, googly eyes, the ultimate weapon. The heck with your big spinning blades and your axes and your crushers. Googly eyes, they scare me.
Well, we'll get to Gabe in a moment, but the next robot we should talk about is... Someone said that they were the first all-girls team. No, they aren't. They aren't, obviously, but they are an all-girls team. This is Tomahawk, or as it's spelt on the website, Tomhawk.
TMHWK. Well, to be fair, if the announcer does try to pronounce it, he would probably pronounce it Tomhawk. Like, remember last year when he called King B Remix King Bremix?
I did not hear that. I'll have to go back and listen to check, but yeah, you may remember Tomahawk all the way back in Series 7, and...
Not really.
Yeah,
I remember it got crushed by a buoy.
It got crushed by IG-88, too.
This robot, it's got a... First off, I like the color scheme. It's got a crazy purple and orange look to it. Very girl-powered.
Well, orange is also one of the official color of the Netherlands, and
yeah, this team is from Holland. Isn't that weird?
Let's keep the cheap accents to the minimum.
That joke is so old.
So yes, their color is orange. It is one of the major colors of the Netherlands,
and it's armed with a big axe on it and two little wedges, which it hopes to get under bots. I like the look of it. I'm just not sure how, in terms of other powerful axe bots like Thor and Terahertz, I don't think it's on their level, but I think I think it'll really be a test of driving skills, and hopefully another big key factor to basically robots with weapons powered by CO2. It gets cold in that arena. Like last year, the flippers, the axe bots, they were having all kinds of trouble because the last series and this series, they were both filmed in Glasgow in the middle of the winter, and it got so cold that a lot of robots' weapons weren't working. Like, Terahertz had trouble with their axe.
TR2.
TR2. Like, if it wasn't so cold, maybe TR2 would have gotten a lot of OOTAs in.
Well, if what Dave said on Sam Elliott's videos to be true, there weren't all that many problems with gas bottles this year.
Yeah, they actually have a heated room, like a green room, that was well heated, so that they can give a little more less frostbite for the robots.
And speaking of frostbite, we'll get to that one in a bit. But shall we say a prayer for our next robot?
Oh yes, please.
Yes.
A moment of hope and gratitude.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners.
Okay, that's enough. The robot is Sabretooth.
Yes, it's Sabretooth. Poor Gabriel Stroud.
Well, sometimes it's the luck of the draw, and
it's not the luck of the draw. He's just had really bad luck in all the times in Robot Wars.
Yeah.
Season 5, he loses to a tank made out of wood. Series 6, his weapon breaks.
And then he has to fight Terahertz.
Series 7, he couldn't even get in because the producer said his robot was too dangerous.
Well, to be fair, when you have a arena where your walls are made of Lexan, there might be some issues.
And in the 2016 series, he comes with a wonderful looking bot, and then his writer breaks.
Yeah, Sabretooth, Gabriel, his robots lately, they've looked very They look very reminiscent of some BattleBots robots. Like last year's Sabretooth, it really reminded me of Will Bale's Hypershock.
Well, you want to hear a secret?
They have a podcast
Yep.
together.
Gabriel Stroud and Will Bales are good friends, and now he comes back with Minotaur.
It actually, looking at it, it actually kind of reminds me of Poison Arrow. It's a small, but it's got a very powerful drum on the front, and the key factor is that it works either way up. It's invertible, so if he faces any flippers, he'll be able to run upside down.
Well, I think this is probably his best machine yet, and Gabe, if you're listening, Brandon and I are going to be rooting for you.
We're big fans. We're Sabretooth guys.
Are we marks?
We're marks.
So, now we go on to robots featured in a preview melee that was featured on YouTube, and we're going to start off with Terahertz.
Terahertz. The big axe is back.
Yep. It's Terahertz. That's all I have to say about it.
This, John Reed, he's been in Robot Wars since way back in Series 2, 1998. He's pretty much the granddaddy of Robot Wars, you'd say. He's the veteran. He's competed with Kilohertz, and he finally got Beta to work and compete on BattleBots, and he did very well.
Top 8 finish.
Yeah.
He only lost to Ray Billings, which, hey, if you're gonna lose to somebody,
yeah. If there had been a pit in BattleBots, he probably could have beaten Ray.
Oh, if he didn't drive into it first.
Well, you know, again, luck of the draw. You're facing a gigantic blade spinner, but Terahertz, they had problems last year with the axe. I don't know if they'll have the same kind of issues.
Well, they have insulation this time around. They put pool noodles around their tubes.
Amazing.
I know.
Yeah, but Terahertz, it's amazing. All this time, it's such a good robot, but they've only ever made the semifinals once. And I really want it to do well, because last year it could have made the semifinals, but because they beat Carbide, and if they hadn't lost to Behemoth, they probably would have made the Heat final. They probably would have made it to the semis.
They could have. I think they could have won it all, really.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. But Terahertz, it's a really tough bot. I really want to see it do well, because John Reed is... He's I've been a big fan of John Reed. Next to a whole bunch of other robot builders. Judging by the... There were a couple spoilers in the trailer, but there are a few vertical spinners in this heat. I don't think John has ever faced a vertical, or he has faced a vertical spinner Nightmare.
Oh, that was one heck of a fight.
Yeah, and
Mom and the reaction that came out from my family, we were so shocked when John Reed was able to tip over Nightmare in the final seconds. That's clutch. That's clutch.
Yeah, that was quite a match. Terahertz is very similar to Beta. It's got that big Hardox front, so it'll be able to deflect most of the spinners. I don't know how it'll do against the new Sabretooth or Aftershock. It'll certainly be close, but I don't know. It'll be interesting.
We can only hope for the best.
Yes.
And
next robot?
Rapid.
This, a flipper. The pretty much the iconic weapon of UK bots since they basically what happened was about a decade ago, a spinner bot called Scorpion damaged an arena, so they had to damage spinners. So basically, the pioneer weapon for the UK was the pneumatic flipper. And Rapid, who bears a real resemblance to 2006 champion Turbulence. It's got a big flipper on it, and from what I've heard, it's got some serious hardware inside.
Oh, man. Dude, flash the picture on screen of that gearbox, man.
If I can find it.
I just check their Facebook page. It should be on there. But this gearbox, man. Oh, my goodness.
Puts NPC gearboxes to shame.
It looks incredible. Like, even if it doesn't get past the first round, if they do awards for best engineering, I would give it to Rapid, based solely on its innards alone.
Based on innards alone, but based on looks, I don't know. With its top on, it just looks like an average flipper. Like, I don't know.
So let's move on to one of my favorite robots from the new series, and no, I am not exaggerating when I say this. It's Nuts.
Nuts 2.
Nuts to you.
Nuts.
We shall refrain from making any testicle references in this segment.
Oh, man, you ruined my concentration. I had so many nuts jokes in my head right now. You've ruined everything.
That's what I do for a living.
Oh, yeah. This was, this team, they're like the nicest guys ever, and they have one of the, craziest, craziest little sit and spin robots I've seen. It's got 2 chains with, flails on the end. It spins all around, and it's got the little mini bots that drive around.
With
it's
googly
awesome.
eyes.
Googly eyes! The ultimate weapon of death! But, they have a new and improved Nuts. It's got new wheels, new mini bots. They have a 3rd mini bot now. Very little interesting tidbit about Nuts. It uses multi-brain technology. Now, if you don't know what multi-brain technology is, basically a usual sit and spin robot would spin around and around in a circle, not really going anywhere, and robots will just wait until it stops spinning to attack, but it won't do anything. No. Nuts, not only can it spin around and around, but it can also drift to wherever it wants to go while still spinning.
It's like a top, basically, like
a Beyblade.
Stole that one from Sam Elliott.
Well,
one thing I will say about Nuts, and I have to admire this, it's that I love the guys on the team, because 2 of their major members, Alex Shakespeare and Rory Mangles, they have built a lot of excellent ant weight bots.
Yeah. Or fairy weights, if you're wondering. Not like American ant weights would weigh a pound. They're 150 grams over in the UK, but 150 grams or not, they have some really crazy little ant weights. Like Alex Shakespeare, aka Shaky, he's built a lot of custom made ant weights.
The dude builds his own. Doesn't he build his own speed controllers?
I think he does. I'm not sure, but he does have a really cool ant weight flipper, which probably rivals that of Apollo, because it's just so crazy and so powerful.
But what I like about the Nuts team is that with all the success they've had in the smaller weight classes, the bug classes, if you will, insects, whatever.
Insect.
Yes. They could have easily built something that could win an entire series. They could have built the best flipper, best spin bot, or best axe, crusher, what have you. But instead, they build this absolutely crazy robot that it's very much like Diator in a way. It's not the best robot, but every time you see it in the arena, it'll put a smile on your face.
Yeah, that's why I was happy that it got its victory over Razor last year. So that we got to see it just basically do its thing. Spin around, just whacking into stuff. Even though it got horribly dismantled by Carbide, it was still fun to watch. And God bless them for being able to put that thing back together for its match against Terahertz. They're just a bunch of nice guys. And they got a tough roster of bots ahead of them. They got probably have Terahertz again, or Sabretooth or Aftershock. So we'll see how they do.
And for anyone who's looking at the picture of them in all their furry coats and you're wondering, where the hell is the guy in the green coat from last season? He built the next robot. My favorite robot in this heat. Give a big bloop bloop for Jellyfish.
This thing.
Does anyone remember Bot Ugly from Extreme Warriors?
I doubt anyone has.
Because that's sort of what this thing is. It's this horizontal clamping robot with this little rod that sticks out in the middle.
It's really weird. It's almost like a prototype Tough as Nails. It's got the arm sticking out. It's got the little grabbers in the middle. It's got the most dangerous weapon in the world, the googly eyes, and it's got little crazy circles design. It almost looks like a giant ice cream bar, doesn't it?
You know, it's I actually did go looking for spoilers on the new series. I'm ashamed to admit it. When I first saw pictures of Jellyfish, I thought, just who the hell would build this thing? And then I saw who built it, and I just smiled and I said, oh, Dave, never change.
Yeah, I don't know if it's certainly bizarre.
And that's why we love it.
Yeah.
It's pure comedy gold.
It's there to be, it's there to entertain, basically. And that's really what this show is all about. Just
says
entertain.
Kim Davis says in Extreme 1, we're here to entertain, and that's what we're hoping to do. And, both Nuts and Jellyfish, to me, are the...
Dick. All right.
Put your phone on vibrate.
All right.
It's like what Kim Davis says in Robot Wars Extreme 1, we're here to entertain, and that's what we're hoping to do. And that's, to me, is what robots like Nuts and Jellyfish are all about. They're just robots that, even if they're not going to win the series, they're just so much fun to watch that, even when they go out, you're just happy to see them there.
Yeah, so, that pretty much concludes Heat A. Do you have any predictions on who may win this heat?
I want to say Terahertz, but I don't think they're going to be beating Aftershock.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Aftershock as well. It's just dangerous. It's destructive. Terahertz, again, I want to see go far. Maybe they'll get a wild card. Who knows? But I'm definitely going to have to go with Aftershock. So, what heat do we have next, Nate?
We have Heat B.
B! That was certainly necessary. It had to be done.
Thank you, Vinny Verhey.
Speaking of B, let's talk about our first competitor, also a battle-hardened veteran, Behemoth.
Behemoth?
It's Behemoth, get it right.
Yeah, Behemoth, I know.
Or as Anthony Pritchard likes to call it, B. This is a robot. This is one of my favorite robots of all time, and I know that they're certainly one of the most unluckiest teams ever. They've always had trouble with their power link, or sometimes being unable to self-right, or just issues with the house robots constantly interfering.
That annoying arena spike.
Oh, atrocious. But ever since then, they've been doing quite well. They won the 2006 Winter Tour. They came runner-up in the 2013 UK Championship. And they finally made it to another Heat final last year. They've been doing good.
Mm-hmm. And apparently they have 2 separate scoops this year.
Yeah, I noticed. There's a picture. We have a picture of it up right now. This This scoop, it's got like real deadly red teeth on the front. I guess that's to help it get under opponents, and it looks really cool.
It seems completely unnecessary, but I love it.
It might help him get under opponents better. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to see Behemoth do well. Hopefully make it to the grand final at last.
Well, they're in a tough heat, but you know what? Let's just be thankful that it doesn't have eruption in its heat. Wait, they do.
We'll get to that.
Let's talk about it now.
Let's talk about eruption. Again, probably one of the most... Certainly last year was the most unluckiest robot, because this is, without a doubt, one of the best flippers in the UK. Like, the past few years, Michael Oates... He's been winning events, just winning and flipping all bots out of the arena. This guy knows what he's doing, and it's just a shame that he got so unlucky last year. He got obliterated by PP3D. He could not get under Storm 2, and honestly, I think they should have beaten Storm 2 since they were immobilized at the end, but it just didn't go their way.
Well, you know, when you're drawn in a heat that's stacked from top to bottom.
That was the heat of death.
Mm-hmm. But this year, though, they're in another stacked heat, but I do think that this could be their time to shine. My mom says that Michael Oates looks like Mr. Bean. I don't see it.
There is a little bit of bad blood in this heat, because Behemoth, who has practically beaten every other robot in the UK, they haven't ever beaten Eruption. They fought Eruption in the grand final of the 2013 championship.
Just to clarify all of Brandon's comments here for a moment, he's talking about
roaming robots.
Yeah, the roaming robots, extreme robots, the live tour, basically. We'll call it the live shows.
Basically, when Robot Wars was off TV, John Finley he got the rights to the Robot Wars name, and basically a lot of robots they basically had live shows, and Behemoth and Eruption were in a lot of those live shows. And Eruption is just the one robot that Behemoth can't beat. It's fought it numerous times. They fought in a whiteboard match last year. They just can't beat it.
Well, we'll see. Well, maybe this will be their time to shine.
Well, we'll see. I like the new Eruption. They got a new weapon on top.
The tiny drum spinner.
Yeah, it's I remember last year they had a crushing arm.
They still have that. They still have the arm.
Yeah. I think they just put it there to be aesthetically pleasing to the producers, because the producers of the show, they're very picky when it comes to flipper bots, and I guess Eruption just put some kind of crazy mohawk on top just to look appealing to the
it also has producers. It has a bum axe this year too.
Oh no.
Oh yes.
Well, Eruption, we'll see how it does.
Mm-hmm. And up next, we have the only front hinged flipper in the series, a big chunky looking blue robot called Push to Exit. Now, a forward-hinged flipper in Robot Wars? Wonder who that could belong to.
You asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Cassius 2?
Nope, it's another machine from Shane Swan.
Yeah. A while ago, during the live events, Shane Swan, the captain, he's been around for a while. He competed with Hell's Teeth in the New Blood tournament in the original Robot Wars. Since then, he's built a few more bots. He built Trax, which was a tracked robot with a forward-hinged flipper. He had Envy, which was basically like a Firestorm clone, except it was painted green. It had the forward flipper.
Isn't that what Push to Exit is, technically the new version of Envy, I guess?
Yeah, pretty much. And
I do like the name Push to Exit.
I kind of wish it was called Envy, though.
Well...
Unless, I don't know, what do you think it would have been called? Wrath? Gluttony? Lust? Alphonse? Ed? Winry?
Close. Very funny.
Full Metal Alchemist reference, if you guys didn't know. We're big anime geeks.
Well, I am. He's sort of along for the ride whenever he's with me.
Well, you're along for the ride with me, even though you've been doing a lot of the talking.
This thing looks very competently built, but what's interesting about Team S-Tech this time is that they actually have 2 additional team members who sadly will not be seen. They have YouTuber VoteSaxon07, who does a lot of toy reviews and reviews other geeky things, along with doing superb Robot Wars reviews.
Yeah, it's a small world.
Yep, and his good friend Anthony Murney is also going to be a member on there. They're sadly not going to be on camera, but it's cool that they were there as a part of Team S-Tech.
You know what I wish? I wish Thermidor 2 would come back, and they'd have Stuart Ashens with them.
Well, Ashens is a very busy fellow. Yeah. Right now he's in the middle of writing terrible old games you've probably never heard of, Attack of the Flickering Skeletons.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's
spooky.
If you haven't... basically the book is an adaptation of an old series he used to do called Terrible Old Games You Probably Never Heard Of, but that's a whole can of worms for later.
Well, this is a pretty tough robot. We'll see how it goes. Let's move on to our next competitor.
Well, since we're doing a lot of robots that competed on the live circuit, can we talk about Cherub?
Yes, let's. Cherub. This is a very basic... It's a small robot. It's a very basic-looking robot. It's got a wedge on the front and 2 lifting arms that spin 360 degrees. So not only can it lift and spear its opponents, it can also self-right. It can do a handstand. It can cut a cake. It can pretty much do anything.
Lifts, pokes, shreds, operates a computer, and it moves.
It moves. That's the most important thing about fighting in Robot Wars. Your robot must move.
Cherub is from Team Saint, who gave us my favorite robot from last time around, Gabriel, which I'm so mad they're not in this new series, but yeah. It's great to see the Callias family again, and I apologize to Craig if I butchered your family's last name.
I always called them Craig Colossus. That sounds like the best last name ever.
Well, we'll get to the best last name in Robot Wars when we get to the Cluster Bot.
Well, Cherub, it's a very tough robot. It's won quite a few matches before. It's not like one of those silly little comedy bots. It's a tough competitor, and I hope it does well in this championship.
I really like it, and I love the team that it's from. The Team Saint kind of reminds me, like, not in terms of the robots they built, but like in terms of the people. The Inglis family from Arnold A. Terminator.
Yes,
that they were these wonderful, wonderful people who built these very odd-looking robots that, you know, I can take or leave Jim Struts or Miss Struts, but I will always have a soft spot.
You know, those bots are undefeated.
Yes, Jim Struts won by both Jim Struts and Miss Struts won by doing absolutely nothing.
He nudged Stomp, and then Stomp just stopped moving.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I don't think Mark and Toby Callias are gonna have as easy a time as they do on the live shows, especially if they fight the 2 spinners in this heat, and let's get to those.
Let's go. Let's talk about the Series 7 champion, in a way.
Technically,
PP3D. Gary Cairns is back. He was with the Typhoon 2 team way back in the old series of Robot Wars. They won Series 7 in a bit of a controversial fashion, but I was a big fan of Typhoon. They fought again. Gary Cairns came back with this undercutting spinner called PP3D, which was all right, but it did have some teething troubles. Like, sometimes if they were flipped over, the disc would smack into the ground and would lose control.
Well, even when it was righted, the disc would catch the floor.
Well, the disc is so close to the floor, sometimes it just glides on it. And just recently they've made a completely upgraded version. They actually had a
Crowdfunding.
a Kickstarter campaign. Was it Kickstarter?
I think it was GoFundMe.
GoFundMe.
Gary will probably tell us.
And they had a GoFundMe campaign and went through. They sold various pieces of the original PP3D, and now they've got this big beast.
Interesting little trivia note about the disc for PP3D. I don't know if you can see it, but the names of the backers are actually printed on the disc.
Yeah, that was one of the rewards for the campaign. If you donate, you get to have your name signed right on the disc.
I really like the look of PP3D, but my biggest fear is that it's probably going to kill itself again.
Well, it's a bit of a glass cannon, but you never know. Gary Cairns, he's been around a while. He's a really nice guy. It's good that he's back, and he's built a robot. I want to see it do well. I'm not entirely sure if it'll make it to the grand final, but we'll see what happens. Like again, it's the luck of the draw. There's a lot of good bots here, and I think speaking of spinners, let's move on to the other spinner in this heat.
One last little comment on PP3D.
Yeah.
You always know when Gary Cairns has his robot up to speed.
That was funny. It almost, it was almost like he was pulling a Ray Billings right there. He's like, we got it up to speed now.
Oh, she's up to speed.
That was a horrible impression. Let's move on to Hobgoblin, because this is actually a very interesting robot.
It looks like they took a beetle weight and blew it up.
Exactly. It's the very first robot in Robot Wars to have an egg beater weapon. Now, if you don't know what an egg beater is, basically it's a big spinning plate, but it's unusually shaped so that it has teeth on the edges. So when it hits something, it not only causes damage to the robot, it can also fling it into the air, and also it's really solid. So because sometimes there's a problem with drums where sometimes the teeth tend to break off, but this weapon looks really solid, I believe, and I think it's the very first time I've seen an egg beater on a heavyweight. I've seen them on ants, I've seen them on beetle weights, and the occasional featherweight, but never on a heavyweight before.
I have never seen one on anything that weighed more than 50 pounds.
Yeah, so I really like it, though. It's got a awesome color scheme. It's got
Joker colors,
purple, green, and some people tell me it's named after the drink. I don't know. I think it kind of reminds me of the Spider-Man villain with the green and purple design.
Green Goblin.
The Green Goblin, but there was a Hobgoblin.
I believe there was a Hobgoblin. I believe.
Well, I think he was orange. I don't know, but yeah, I like the look of it, and hopefully it does well.
And we got two more machines, so let's go through them.
Wow, and we're only in Heat B. This might actually go 3 hours.
I hope not. But next up, we have Cobra, not to be confused with the god-awful Series 7 robot. That was a big silver box with a pneumatic spike that could only fire 6 times.
These guys, they come straight out of Belgium.
And Holland.
They've got a big 4-wheel drive Rambot with a crushing arm on it. Little background behind this bot. They competed on the live circuit with a big tornado-looking robot called Brutus. It was armed with a wedge, and if it got flipped over, the wedge would work either way up. Here they've added like a big crusher that kind of reminds me of Nickelodeon US Championship winner Tyrannobot. It had like this tiny little crusher on it. This one looks a bit bigger.
And the jaw looks a lot more effective because it has those two wedges.
Big shout out to Alex Horn there. But yeah, I'm not sure how effective the crusher will be, because there are, I don't know how well it'll work against maybe Behemoth or PP3D, but you never know. It could get a few surprises here and there.
Also, as far as the team goes, their captain, I believe he had Pika 3 in the Dutch Wars.
That's right up your alley, Otaku, Nate.
Hey, Pokemon, I've long since outgrown Pokemon, Bubba.
I think just about except for the people who are into Pokemon Go. You know, if they have a Series 10, they should bring they should build another robot and call it Pika Go.
Well, the games and the anime are two separate beasts entirely. I think everyone's long since given up watching the anime.
Well, yeah, well.
Also, who was it? Is it
Johan van der Loo?
Yeah, how do you say that name?
I don't know. I'm not Dutch.
But yeah, one of the members of the team, I'm afraid to say his name because I'm gonna get it wrong. Jaren van der Loo.
Johan van der Loo.
Okay, let's try this again.
No, we'll not take this out. It's a. I'll keep this in, showing you struggling to pronounce someone's
Johan name. Van der Loo. He was with Tough as Nails.
Oh yeah, that was Tough as Nails was a robot that a lot of people really seem to hate since it's just a big.
I like Tough as Nails.
It's just a big hugging machine. It hugs and then you just dump him into the pit.
It's the Robot Wars equivalent of Bailey.
Cobra is a good bot. I hope it does well, basically. And it's actually very similarly designed to the last robot in this heat. A robot that, again, was very unlucky last time. All hail Lord Draven.
Or just Draven.
Well, I really want this robot to do well. I love the look of it. I follow their Facebook page, and they've got some serious hardware in that thing. It's like it's a lifter. It's a crusher. It's got a big evil face on it.
The problem I have with Draven is that the jaw seems a bit too small to really grab a hold of anything. I don't think it needs to be bigger, but longer. Like, it needs a bigger wedge.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure if it self-writes, because I think the tracks are covered. What is it, Nate?
No, look. Read the description of Dan Heggs.
Dan Heggs. Builder and Chief Goth. Really?
Yes. Apparently they're now part of the occult.
Well, or they're big fans of The Crow, which, well, that's what the robot was basically named after, Draven from The Crow.
Actually, it was originally called Anthrax.
Oh, yes. Yeah, then the World Trade Center attacks happened. So.
I believe it was like the Anthrax mailing scam or something.
Well, yeah. But you know what? I want Lord Draven to do well. Hopefully it makes it to the round-robin rounds. And hopefully it doesn't run into any teething troubles like it did last time. So.
Alright, so for Heat C, we have 4 robots that were all in the same heat last time, and 4 completely new machines. One is actually from a returning team. But let's start out with my mom's favorite from last time, Thor.
The God of Thunder.
God of Thunder.
Yeah, this... Like, the Axebot seems to be, like, for a while it seemed like a very outdated weapon. Like, Axebots don't really cause them much damage anymore because robots are getting a lot heavier armored, Hardox and titanium, and axes, they didn't really seem to have that much give to it anymore. But Jason Marsden, this guy, he built a monster of a robot from last year.
It was fast, it was well controlled. We didn't see too much of the axe, but it was his dry...
We kind of did. It got a lot of good hits on Mr. Speed Squared and Tough as Nails, and completely destroyed Shockwave's wedge. It was a hell of an axe. It was really cool.
Jason Marsden had one of my favorite quotes from the last season, too. In his video package, he said, I watched Robot Wars, I entered thinking that I could do better, and I couldn't.
Well, he's the, he came 4th last year, and right now he's the Shadow Seed,
what an effort that was by Thor in the grand final. I mean,
know.
even if he got completely smashed up, I take my hat off to him just for holding out.
Yeah, it's like that's another thing about the round robin tournaments. That really adds to the pressure, because if your robot gets destroyed, and then after you bring it back, and you got to repair it again and get it ready for another match in an hour.
And sometimes it's not completely fixed. Just ask Chomp-a-Lot.
Oh my god.
No offense, Deb and Simon, if you're listening.
Oh, hooray for lipo fires.
I felt so bad for them.
Yeah, but Thor, I want to see Jason do well. I actually kind of want to see him win this whole thing.
I would like to see him win, but he's got some tough competition, including the everybody's favorite robot from last season, along with everybody's favorite roboteer, Foxic.
You're a coward, Nate. You're a coward. Oh,
poor Craig Danby.
You know what? I'm gonna cut a promo right now. I want to get all this out of the way. People, fans, guys on Reddit, people who were watching the show, everyone hated Foxic. That when they saw that performance at Bolton Heat B last year, and people were even calling it the worst robot ever built. I have one thing to say to you people. I want you guys to build your own robot. I want you guys to build your own robot and have it go head-to-head with Last Rites. Have it go head-to-head with Last Rites and have it come out with no more than a few scratches. Because Foxic, yes, it had problems. That match with Mr. Speed Squared, that was a minus 5-star match. But you know what? At least there was a reason for it. Mr. Speed Squared was having problems with its disc. Foxic was having problems with its drive. That's really the biggest issue. That's basically the reason that people just didn't like Foxic, was because it just wouldn't drive well. It couldn't steer. The chains just kept falling. It was a mess. But you know what? Craig, it was a very good... he did a hell of a job putting the thing together. It was a very good-looking robot. It was a bit small, but it was tough as bricks. It got all this abuse. It took all these hits from Thor, Last Rites, Dead Metal. If Foxic is the worst robot in the world, then how could it have been able to push Dead Metal the length of the arena? I mean, I've seen robots like Techno Trousers or what other robots? Overdozer, which those robots could barely move at all. But at least they were able to put something together and were able to fight with those bots. Craig was able to build Foxic. He was able to put this thing together. He was able to fight with it. It had issues, but you know what? That happens. Especially when you have a new robot make its big debut on screen. And even if it doesn't work right, at least he was able to get on TV. And that I think is what's really important, is being able to finally, after years of all these problems and not making it on TV, finally getting on TV and getting to fight. Now, with that said, I really like this new Foxic.
Oh my god, I love the look of this thing.
It looks great.
It looks like a Formula 1 car, something out of Wacky Racers.
It's got a much more foxy face. It's got spikes on the back.
It's got a direct drive, so he shouldn't have too many problems with the gearbox.
I'm not a big fan of chain drive, because if one of those things drop, you're going to have issues. But Craig, he's got 4 motors on each wheel. He can drift. He can move. This thing can move. I've seen it in testing. It's faster than Tornado. I'm going to say it right now. If you were to have a race between Tornado and Foxic, it would completely beat Tornado.
It drifts like something out of Initial D.
Out of what?
Initial D. It's a car racing anime. I haven't seen it, but I've heard mixed things about it. The video games are much better.
Oh. But you know what? Craig, I hope you do well. I hope you win some matches. Don't listen to those assholes on the internet. Show them what you're made of.
Make the people hate you.
You're the biggest heel in robot combat today. Almost, actually, I think Ray Billings is a bigger heel. But, no, I'm just kidding.
Shall we give him the good luck, Craig, on 3? 1, 2, 3. Good luck, Craig.
Alright, let's move on to the next robot, shall we?
Yes, the one that he had a -5-star match with, Mr. Speed Squared.
Yeah, and again, it's a shame because, like Foxic, Mr. Speed Squared had problems with its weapons. In its first match, it went completely nuts on all the bots, but in its match against Thor, the spinner gave out, and they just couldn't get it working again.
That's the problem with this team, because it's the team that built the Trouble and Strife robots from the last series. I like Ian Forsey. He's a great engineer. Actually, let me just check to see if I got his name right.
I'm sure you do.
It's Peter Forsey.
Peter Forsey, Jake Forsey, and Sam Forsey.
I like Peter Forsey. He's a great engineer. Revenge of Trouble and Strife is a wonderfully engineered robot containing both pneumatics and a petrol engine. Or gas-powered engine if you're from the United States.
America.
But the problem is that he keeps building glass cannons.
Well, it's tough, you know? It's like, sometimes you can't build the ultimate robot with the parts. It's expensive,
Sometimes you just end up with machines like Chomp.
Well, Chomp, it was well engineered, it just couldn't stay on its wheels.
It was more lucky than it was good.
Yeah, but
that's another discussion.
Mr. Speed Squared, they have a new design. It's a lot flatter.
It looks like they took it to a hydraulic press.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Captain Shredderator from BattleBots. It's a lot lower.
If this thing was any flatter, you could insert it into a vending machine.
If they get it flatter, I'm going to call it Mr. Speed Pancake.
Or, as Dave Laurie called it on Sam Elliott's podcast, Mr. Speed Squashed.
Squashed. So, yeah, good luck to them.
And now we move on to the robot that Mr. Speed Squared destroyed, Chimera.
Ah, yes. Chimera, last year, it was one of the very few robots that didn't have an active weapon. And that was basically because it was entered as a reserve. One team wasn't able to get their robot ready, so this team was able to get in, and it didn't go well for them. But this...
Don't bring tires into the arena!
What the hell does... Sometimes you just never understand what Jonathan Pierce says sometimes. But Chimera 2, I like the look of this. It reminds me of early BattleBots competitor Toe Crusher. It's got it's a thwack bot. Basically, when it goes and then stops, the axe comes over it, and it's got a big wedge on the front to protect itself. It's got wheels. It kind of look like Nuts' wheels.
They're made from HDPE.
So it's got much tougher wheels. It's got the wedge. It's got the axe. It looks like a much better robot.
I agree. Much improved. I don't know if it'll get further than round 1. It probably won't. But again, it'll just be nice to see them. Their captain is one of the most hardcore Robot Wars fans out there.
Jordan Man?
I think so, yes.
Because isn't he a Robot Wars wiki guy?
I don't know. You'll have to ask him.
I think last year they said that he knows every Robot Wars competitor ever entered, and he even has a picture of Matilda on his wall. Well, joke's on you, Nate. You have a picture of Mr. Psycho on your wall.
Hey, it contrasts with all the sexy anime posters I have on there.
You know, there's a reason we're not in front of a camera right now, because we're filming in Nate's... Alright, we're revealing it. We're in Nate's house. He has autographed pictures of anime girls with big boobs. It's horror right now. I feel like I'm in a haunted house.
I regret nothing!
A haunted house filled with sexy women.
But, speaking of sexy, let's move on to some of the new robots, and let's start out with Heavy Metal.
Rollin' Heavy Metal. Yes, this is a new robot by 13 Black builder, John Denny.
With his son, John Denny Jr. at the controls.
Yeah, they have the picture on the website. Is funny. He has a little guitar.
Inflatable electric guitar.
It's... When me and my friends were going to... We're currently working on a heavyweight to compete in BattleBots next year. And our gimmick was that we were supposed to be headbanging rock and roll fans. But I don't know. A lot of builders seem to have taken the gimmick already. With the guitar and the... hard rock and roll, heavy metal attitude, and
John Denny. For those of you who don't know what he built the zebra bot known as Limpet in Series 2.
He actually built a Beetleweight version of Limpet as well, Limpet XT. Or something?
I don't know.
I don't know.
And he built one of my favorite robots, 13 Black.
Yes.
So he's always building these very colorful looking machines, and Heavy Metal is no exception. It's got the color scheme of... Oh, what is it?
It looks like a giant... It looks like cotton candy painted blue and pink with big cheese style
Oh,
wheels.
I love those wheels.
The one thing, I just can't understand its weapon. What is it?
Do you remember Q-Odd the Crusher from BattleBots?
Yes.
It's kind of like that, where you see that little pilot seat it has in the middle?
It's got a little thing in there.
Yeah, it pushes down on the ground and it lifts the front wedge up.
Ah. Interesting. It's certainly a change, because I've certainly been used to seeing 13 Black just tearing things up.
Crab walking, too.
Crab walking. Yeah, this is a very interesting looking robot. I'm going to have to wait to see it on TV to see what it actually does, because... I don't know. It's a very weird look. It's a weird looking bot, but it looks really great, and I hope to see it. Hopefully, make it to the round robin rounds.
Now let's move on to an entry from school, Expulsion.
Speaking of school, very interesting name. This is a weird looking robot. It kind of reminds me of Series 7 competitor Mean Streak. And crossed with a Dutch competitor Botwork. It's got like this very weird looking, kind of like shuriken looking spinning blade out the front.
And the teeth on the blade are actually I don't know if they fan out, but they're like spring loaded.
It's basically
the teeth can retract to help the disc get up to speed quicker since there's less drag.
That's actually a very interesting little invention right there.
They're the youngest team on average. In total, the team is on average 16 and a half years old.
Yep. It's they're very new at this robot building thing. They are. A lot of teams always start when they're in their early to mid-teens. I started when I was 14, and they've this is a pretty good first-time effort. It's got a... It looks really nasty. It's got the sharp edges everywhere.
I'm just worried.
Blades.
I'm just worried about the sides, because not only do they look vulnerable, if that thing gets flipped onto its side, it's game over.
Oh yes, yeah. Us fans in the Northeast, us guys, we have what is called doing the thing. And the thing basically means if you get side stranded, like if you get stuck on your weapon, or if you just get stuck on your side, it's referred to as doing the thing. And I don't know, I just hope these guys don't end up doing the thing, especially if they're facing bots like Heavy Metal or Foxic. But
I've learned something new today.
Yes. So, let's move on to our next robot.
Another first-time entry, Tauron.
This robot I like. It's kind of like Accident. It's a two-wheel drive bot. It's got a big spinning axe on the front.
I got more of a vibe of the Alien from it.
Kind of like it. I'm not sure if it runs invertible. It does have the wheels coming out the front.
It does. It is an invertible robot. It even has the caster to prove it.
Ah, that's good, because kind of a problem that Accident and the Alien had was Accident couldn't self-right. The Alien could, but the Shremek wouldn't work all that well. But I think actually what it really kind of reminds me of is Velocity from Robo Games. It had a big spinning blade vertical bar, just like a Tauron. But it could run either way up, most of the time, because sometimes it would get side straighted. But I don't know. I really like it. We'll see how well it does.
And moving on, we have the last competitor in Week 3, the first time entered Concussion.
Oh, it's a heavyweight Weta.
Piloted by Tim Rackley and his mighty Mohawk.
Yes. This is the classic drum spinner. It's colored orange. It's got a little drum with some teeth on it.
Fun fact: I believe the drum was actually built by Simon Scott. Of Team Razor.
Nice. Small world once again.
This is actually the first ever robot built by this team, and I don't mean like their first heavyweight. I mean their first robot. Period.
Ah.
They had no ants, no beetles, no feathers, just this wonderful orange-looking machine. I love the hell of it. This is my dark horse to win the series.
A lot of orange in this heat. Toxic, concussion, a little bit of expulsion.
And
it's a very colorful heat, I will say.
Mm-hmm. If you ask me who my heat winner is for this one, I'm gonna go against the grain here, and I'm going with Foxic. I think it's Craig Danby's time to shine. He's caught enough crap as it is over the years. If he wins this heat, I really hate to come off as being a smark, but he deserves it.
You deserve it. You deserve it. Yeah, it's gonna be tricky, especially with some of the bots here. I'm gonna go with Thor.
All right.
It's Jason. He deserves to get far. He's worked really hard getting this bot together. He's got that new wedge killing scoop on the front.
Wedge.
Another shout out to Alex Horn. Yeah, hopefully, I'm gonna give it to Jason Marsden and Thor. Little funny story. A couple days ago, when they were showing all the information for all the bots, I looked up Thor's team page, and Jason he was credited as being 23 years old.
All I know is that my mom...
I remember seeing him back in Extreme 2 when he was 7.
I do miss the old Viking helmet that he had.
I wish he would bring it back, especially in the days of the Marvel movies. He can do a good Chris Hemsworth impression.
My mom... If Thor wins the heat, my mom's going to be very happy. And my dad, too.
Of course.
So now we move on to Week 4, or Heat D as we call it.
We got the D!
No, we had the D in the Celebrity Special.
Oh, everybody loves the D.
Who doesn't love the D, man?
D, man.
And let's start off... Okay. To anyone out here, there was a robot last series called Overdoser. They were an entry made purely for the purpose of cannon fodder. They were made from MDF, they were powered by gasoline, their link was pretty much vulnerable. They had a giant sign pointing to where their link was.
And their weapon was a hedge trimmer.
Yeah, it got smashed up by King B and Dan Tomkia in its first round. And if you thought that was the last we'd ever see of the team, think again. Because they're back this time with a new robot called Worm.
And what weapon does Worm have? Say it with me.
Wedge!
Actually, I gotta say, this is a huge improvement over Overdoser. It's basically, it's got a lifting scoop on the front. It's kind of like a combination of Sewer Snake and Panzer Mach 4. It can lift, it can self-right, it can ram into things and push robots around. This is a huge improvement over the big wooden box on wheels from last year.
It was an improvement over the dilapidated boat.
It's a dilapidated boat!
Oh no! My brother has been turned into a boat!
Oh my god.
Never thank you, broken Matt Hardy.
Oh.
I have to applaud the Overdozer team here for not resting on their laurels, because...
Yeah, because a lot of teams, they enter Robot Wars, they only enter one series and then never come back.
Well, no, or if they do, they just don't make any changes. Like, I don't think I'm gonna break anybody's heart when I say that I really don't like Napalm from the old series. And it's not just...
People say Foxic is the worst robot.
It's not just that the robot was bad, it's just how cynical David Crosby was with the whole thing.
Yeah.
They didn't bother making any improvements, and when they actually brought in something different with Shadow of Napalm, you had... It had wheels that caught on the armor, and rather than actually improving it, they actually just let it be. But the Overdozer team, they didn't just say, okay, we're going to enter the same thing. They learned their lesson, they went around the pits, they asked for help. And when you actually listen to feedback, when people tell you what to do, and when you can say, when you have a clear vision for what you want, you get a machine that looks competent, like Worm. And I applaud the Overdozer team for giving us something not only new, but different.
Absolutely. Let's move on. Let's see it. Let's start off with an oldie, but a goodie. And let's start with Crustacean.
I always loved seeing Crustacean from the old series. Crustacean.
I could never.
It's a one-word tongue twister.
Crustacean.
Representing South Africa.
Yeah. I liked Crustacean back in the old days. I liked their matches with Behemoth and Corkscrew were some of their best. And I remember that they competed at a live show just recently, and I don't know. It just seems a lot very outdated.
Obsolete!
Yeah, I don't know. Like, with all these new designs, this is basically the same robot it was back in 2001.
I applaud them for, I applauded the Overdozer team for not resting on their laurels, but Crustacean to me it's a design that I love and I really wouldn't change it, but considering that this machine has sort of stood still while all the other robots have kind of moved on, as Craig Charles has said, considering that it's in a heat with 5 spinners, this thing is gonna get wrecked. And I really hate to see a robot that looks as good and is as original with Crustacean, because those claws are they're controlled by
Are they still controlled by gloves?
I hope they are.
I don't know. Did they still even fit, Dom?
Well, I think they may have resized it.
Dom Visser, I remember. For those of you who don't know, back in the old series of Robot Wars, Crustacean, usually the Roboteers, they always have like a separate controller that controls the weapons, or sometimes they have one of the sticks on their controller controls the weapon. The Crustacean team, they actually designed gloves with little buttons on them. And Dom Visser would wear the gloves, and every time he squeezed his hands, it would close the gloves. It would open, close. I'm doing the hand movements in front of the microphone. Nobody can see me, but yeah, it looked really cool. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't. Crustacean, I fear, might go the way of Thermidor. Like, it's a returning robot, but it might not.
It's gonna die like 10 seconds into the match.
It's sad.
Hopefully, it'll last longer than Orte did in the last series.
Oh, that was especially sad.
Poor Ian Watts.
Oh, it's like, and I was looking forward to seeing how it does, because it looked like it was an upgraded version of Bigger Brother, basically. But it just got knocked out. Powerlink fell out, and that was it.
Well, let's move on now to the next robot in this heat that is not a spinner. High Five!
Speaking of upgraded bots, basically this is basically Smidsy, which stands for Sorry Mate, I Didn't See You. Basically, it's a redesigned Smidsy, but they've gotten rid of the disc, they've gotten rid of the old jaws, the lifting jaws, and they've got some kind of weird-looking... It looks like a pair of hands as the weapon.
Hence why it's called High Five.
It looks like, you know the riddle, here's the church, here's the steeple. Open the door and see all the people. It kind of looks like the people.
Hey, look on the bright side. It's one of the few robots you can make shadow puppets with.
That's true. I don't know how effective this is going to be, because Smidsy, it was able to get under opponents and lift them up and push them around.
It had the disc at the back, too.
It had the disc at the back. I just don't know how this is going to work.
Yeah, considering that the bottom hand seems to be intersected with the upper hand, which makes it an ineffective wedge.
Well, we'll find out. Again, there have been many surprises in the past, and there'll certainly be some surprises in this series. We'll find out what happens.
Also, I want to give a shout out to Sarah Malin, because it's always great to see a female roboteer as part of a team. Absolutely.
Let's move on to...
Let's start with the spinners, starting with Frostbite.
Speaking of cold, we're going ice cold.
Well,
freezing cold.
Colder than it is right now in New Jersey.
It's 63 degrees.
And it's not even... It's not even
March.
April. It's March. We're recording this on the 1st of March, and it's 60 degrees outside.
Well, yeah, this robot, I don't know. It looks like it was inspired by robots like Carbide and Tombstone.
It's Diet Carbide.
It's got a very small little spinning bar weapon, horizontal spinning weapon.
It's only 85 kilograms. It's armored in frosted polycarb.
This looks like this would have been like a 5th Wars or a 6th Wars competitor.
Hey, I'll give them props, though, because Dave told the story about Frostbite. When he said hello to the team, one of the kids said, "We can't wait to have our robot destroyed."
Gallows, that's the spirit, really. You go out there. There's some teams who just want to go out there and win. Like
I have respect for teams who just build piles of junk, not napalm, obviously, but like machines that are kind of meant to be destroyed, like say Robogeddon, Widow's Revenge.
Yes.
I would say Hippopotamus, but they were serious with that.
Poor girl. But yeah, it's everyone likes. So there's some people who want to win, some people who get really mad if their robot doesn't work, and then there's just the teams who just want to go out there and see their robot just get flipped, get chopped up, axed, crushed, spun, all kinds of wackiness. And that's the kind of attitude I like.
Now let's go on to the other new spinner. Well, okay, they were with another team last year. The extension of the Danby family, Apex.
Yes.
This thing looks like it's going to blow itself up.
Yeah, that's kind of an issue. This robot, basically, it kind of reminds me of Ghost Raptor with the overhead spinner. It's got like an angled spinner. It looks like I think it's somebody. I think Dave said it was about 4 feet long. Or look at it. It's like here's the team picture.
It's as long. It looks to be as long as one of my legs, yeah, and I'm average height.
Because I'm sure you're looking at the team picture right here, and it could be as long as half a man. It's huge, but at the same time, I'm kind of worried it might self-destruct. Because sometimes bigger isn't always better. And I remember there was a robot I saw at Motorama a while ago that had the same exact design. It hit a robot once, and it just gyroed out of control. Flew right onto its back.
Well, if you look at the earliest build of Ice Wave, when it hit the... Look up Ice Wave versus Major Punishment. If you thought Ice Wave is now competent and is capable of holding its own in BattleBots, but in one of its first fights, the engine comes clean off from nothing.
It's like a giant 50-pound engine just goes flying straight across the arena and destroys itself.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's like... That's why, aside from, like, hazard or brutality, I've never been really a huge... I always thought overhead spinners were a bit troublesome. Like, if sometimes they might flip themselves over, sometimes they might self-destruct, but I don't know. Again, Apex may do well, it may self-destruct. We'll see how it goes.
Let's move on to the next spinning bar, Ironside 3.
It's pretty much, it's like Apex's mini-me.
Is Apex Mini Ironside?
I don't know. I think Apex was built before Ironside 3. They just weren't able to fight with it for a while.
Or maybe... Actually, no, that's not true, because we know what the Mini Ironside 3 is.
Ironside 2.
I'm surprised Dara never asked Trevor, why is it called Ironside 3? Where's Ironside 1 and 2?
Yeah, 1 I remember was just a weaponless octagon.
Mm-hmm.
Ironside 2 was basically a featherweight version. Ironside 3 is the big daddy, the big heavy.
You would not believe that, you would not believe it, but the man who built this machine also built Velocirippa.
Velocirippa and Mega Mouse.
Mighty Mouse.
Or Mighty Mouse. And Mega Mouse. Yeah,
he builds these cute-looking robots, and then he makes this.
Yeah, and it's like, Velocirippa and Mighty Mouse, they didn't really have the greatest track record. Mighty Mouse, obviously, they won their matches purely through luck. Velocirippa, the only match they ever won was a soccer match.
Mm-hmm.
Or football. But yeah, but this is a totally different beast right here. And we saw it last year in its heat with...
the only reason why it didn't go through to the final was just because it had bad luck with Pulsar.
Yeah, because it got flipped over. For some reason, they didn't count it out. Eventually, Sir Kill-A-Lot, who for once actually did something of relevance, self-righted Ironside. The match continued. Pulsar died. Ironside pitted Pulsar, but then the judges decided Ironside was immobilized for more than 10 seconds. Pulsar gets the win. But you know what? The controversy always happens. Like there's been controversial decisions all throughout Robot Wars. A lot of people haven't liked it. Fans, Roboteers, it's been...
Ironside 3, it looks the same, but it's got completely new components underneath it. The only real thing that worries me about Ironside 3 is whether or not its Shreemech is going to work.
Well, they have an upgraded Shreemech, so hopefully that'll be able to work.
It's got, like, the Hypnodisc record needle.
Yeah. But hopefully it does well, and hopefully it gets revenge on or it might get revenge on our next robot on here. The number 5 seed, I think we'll call it, Pulsar.
Alright, let me cut a promo here for a moment.
Oh, boy.
A lot of casual fans would like to think that, in order to be a Roboteer, you have to have skills in engineering. You have to, go to, like, these prestigious engineering school, take all these classes, etc. And I'll just say this right now. There's a reason why I consider Ellis Ware to be one of my favorite Roboteers of the new series. Because if you don't know the story of Ellis Ware, he was a high school dropout. He dropped out at age 16. I don't think he ever went to college. And yet, he had a passion for robotics and Robot Wars. And so, he reached out to the robotics community. They gave him all sorts of pointers, all sorts of guidelines as to what to do for his robot. And so, he started by building a few beetle weights, and he actually had a few success. He actually had a few
successes.
Yeah, I think he won a tournament actually, and eventually he builds the machine we're about to talk about, Pulsar, And Pulsar's story last season, to me, was the greatest success story of the new series.
Yeah.
When he first showed up with it, he couldn't get it working. He spent a whole night taking it apart and putting it back together. He finally gets it ready on the day of filming, and he gets KO'd in round 1. But after Chomp-A-Lot was damaged beyond repair in one of the saddest moments from the series, the judges reinsert Pulsar into the lineup. It goes out, destroys Beast, Ironside 3, and Gabriel, reaches the grand final, all through some of the most extraordinary circumstances. So kids, if you want someone to look up to in the new Robot Wars series as an example of, hey, I can do it too, look to Ellis Ware. Because he, to me, should be the hero that all the young Roboteers should look up to. It's him and Alex Brown are...
TR2.
We'll talk about TR2 when we get to the end. It's Alex Brown. Like, my Roboteering heroes from the new series are Ellis, as I just said, Alex Brown, Craig Callias, and the Nuts team.
Yep.
So, Pulsar's back, and it's brand new for this series.
Yeah. Ellis, looks like he upgraded the armor.
The drum's completely new, too.
The drum is new. Hopefully all the issues that it had are out. Does it have a shrink?
It does. It does. See that little black bit at the back?
Yeah.
That's its self-riding arm. It also it says Pulsar on the back too, just in case you forget which robot it is.
Really, I thought it was Twister. I thought it was Overdozer.
Oh, don't get me started on the Series 5 Twister. But I think that he'll do well. I just hope that he gets his reliability issues sorted out, because
he's a good guy. Pulsar, he had a good run last year. He made it to the grand final despite all issues and circumstances, and I applaud him for it.
Hopefully he'll have his transmitter problems fixed. And
yeah,
we're running a little long, but let's move on to Supernova.
Yeah, have we broke 2 hours?
Not yet. We're at an hour and a half. Supernova.
Yeah, the whole brand new machine this time.
That looks like Mayhem from Series 7.
Supernova, it's a team that always seems to have the worst luck. Because
it's Supernova is very much like Mr. Speed Squared. It's very much a glass cannon.
Yeah, because they had a chance to be a semifinalist in Series 6.
Oh,
but,
no.
But they ended up losing to a broken spawn again because I guess one of the wheels stopped working.
The wheels became dismounted or something. Yeah. Or, like, the axle broke or something like that. And
Series 7, which I think it had equally bad luck, because they went out in the first round after they teamed up with Storm 2 to completely destroy Kilolot's tracks, and then right at the end, Storm 2 just turns on Supernova and kills it, letting a Rhino through, which is...
It's a Russo swerve.
It's a swerve, brother. And they made it all the way to the final of the World Championship. I think if they didn't have all that bullshit regarding the Storm 2 controversy and Supernova getting stuck on the arena wall, Supernova probably could have won.
And last year they went out in most spectacular fashion, breakdancing right into the pit.
That was especially sad, because, again, it may as well be this year's Hypnodisc in a way, because Carbide is I consider Carbide like the UK equivalent of Tombstone or Last Rites. Supernova to me just seems like a modern Hypnodisc with the big spinning disc weapon, but the last year it just looked completely uncontrollable. It was gyroing all over the place. It lost both its teeth. It couldn't do anything to TR2, and then finally it just gyroed straight into the pit.
So it went out like an actual supernova.
Boom.
And finally, the last Oh, wait, no, we covered them all.
We covered them all!
So let's move on to the final heat, and hopefully we'll make this quick.
Week 5, this is hands down the most bizarre heat I think there has ever been in Robot Wars.
And we're gonna start with the most bizarre robot. Miss Nightshade. What the hell is this?
You know, another builder I know, Alex Horn, he's the builder that I know. He has gimmicks. One of the gimmicks is obviously saying wedge whenever he sees a wedge bot. But another gimmick he has involves traffic cones. Like he entered a robot made out of a traffic cone into Motorama, and the joke has stuck ever since. This looks like something that Alex Horn would actually build. It's a giant cone-shaped monstrosity with... How many sides are on this thing? 6?
I think it's a hexagonal robot.
It's a hexagonal tower of terror with 6 sides that come out, and they have hammers on top, and they strike the opponents with the hammers. It's the most surreal robot I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. And it's like, they actually showed a preview of it on the site. They say it's unflippable. It shows it actually self-righting. It looks like some umbrella just flying through the air. It looks like what would happen if Mary Poppins got into Robot Wars.
I said it looked like if Wizard from Series 2 and Tut's Revenge had a baby. That's what it looks like to me.
It is awesomely ridiculous.
And that's why we love Robot Wars, and again, all girls team.
Yeah, there was a lot of we were very upset when we found out that TR2 wasn't returning, and we were wondering why. I mean, it came 3rd last year, and Alex Brown, they had that auction where they auctioned off parts of robots. I myself happen to own a piece of King Bee Remix.
Much to the chagrin of your dad.
You spent $50 on a piece of metal? It's for charity, Rarity. No, it's like... as it turns out, the reason TR2 didn't return was because I guess they showed up late, so they weren't able to
They
qualify.
said the team posted it on their Facebook page that their application was rejected or something. I don't know.
Bastards.
Yeah, it's the most unfortunate exclusion, because, you know, Alex Brown, you know this if you're listening, but my dad is a big fan of you. I am too. Because when I showed my dad TR2 seat and he saw TR2 in action, he looked at me and he said, "Man, that kid's a great driver." And I told him, he's only 15 years old.
He's a great driver and a house robot killer, since last year he took out the Robot's Lifehouse robot Goliath, which is 1,000 kilos, like 2,000 pounds.
It weighs a literal ton.
And he just flipped it over like he just flipped over a car. And this kid is 15, and he actually pulled
this off. He's 16 now.
He's 16 now.
I just hope he drives a car as good as he drives his robots.
And hopefully he doesn't flip anybody over. Oh, amazing. Let's move on to another robot from a team that's also been around a while. Mega Mouse.
This is actually not by Team Outlaw. This is Team Tilly this time. Yeah. So I guess the teams teamed up. It's now a cluster bot. You've got the main robot and you have the Wedge.
Little mini bot. Yeah, Mega Mouse is it's basically an upgraded version of Mighty Mouse. It's got a much bigger flipper. It can
it has a weapon. That's its big appeal.
Yes, and it's actually it's a very plucky robot. It's always managed to put in some very decent performances and win some matches here and there. It's got the little mouse ears, and it's able to get some flips in.
The evil cheese wedge.
The evil cheese wedge of doom. Just, I don't know, it's painted orange. Don't you think it should be painted yellow? Unless they forgot to get the yellow paint.
It's a cheddar wedge.
Cheddar wedge.
Cheddar's normally orange.
Really? Because I eat cheddar, and sometimes it's yellow. Unless it's a different kind of cheddar.
Well, there's both regular... Yeah, cheddar, in my experience, has normally been this kind of marigold color.
Since when did this conversation... How did we start talking about cheese all of a sudden?
I don't know, but, we've been going for like over an hour and a half now. Let's move on to a very interesting machine, Coyote.
Oh, what is that? Yeah, this is
It looks
another really creepy, weird, kind of bizarre, very
It
very
looks like
unusual.
Cerberus.
It kind of does. It's got these big it's got this crushing arm, it's got these crushing wedges, and it's also got a very interesting weapon, but it also has a chainsaw tail. And not since Rocky Balboa in Robot Wars Extreme Warriors have we seen a robot with a chainsaw.
I don't know what they're gonna do with that thing, but it looks cool.
It probably won't see any use, because I know Matilda had her chainsaw back for a while, and she never used it.
This is actually a team that splintered off of PP3D, captained by Jamie McHarg.
Ah, I know that name. I think I'm friends with him on Facebook.
I think you are. Yeah, this team, they to me are the sharpest dressed because they've got the Arctic camo pants.
Yeah, not only do you... Well, considering that you're in the middle of Glasgow in December, you might as well dress the part.
Very interesting design. I don't know if they'll do well, but it's a really cool looking design. I'd put this up for best designed robot.
Yeah, because what it comes down to, and it's one of the reasons why I really like Robot Wars: The Fourth Wars, despite some issues. There were a lot of really interesting designs in The Fourth Wars, like Scorpion, which had the chainsaw and the cutting disc.
Fat Boy Tin,
Predator. Banshee.
Ugh.
There was so much creativity that went into those robots.
And if the wars expand, I want to see more designs like that. I don't care if these machines can't self-ride, or if their weapons aren't that effective, or it's one of those, it sounded cool when I first wrote it down, but just turned out to be a mess.
Yeah, well,
it's why we love watching Robot Wars.
And we want it to be good TV.
And now let's move on to two of the robots that don't have official pictures up on the website.
But I think they do have pictures on the wiki. Rusty...
the diesel engine.
I think that's what they based it off of, because it's painted orange, it's got a black little bit on it.
It looks like that's where its face could be.
That's where the face could be. And this was originally, it was built by the Saros team, which competed on Robot Wars Series 7. They built another robot. Basically, it has like a low-pressure flipper with a scoop on the front. It competed in the live Robot Wars events for a while. It won a couple matches. But other than that, it just looks like a typical flipper.
Yeah, not really much here. It just makes me miss TR2 more.
Yeah.
I do like the name Rusty, though.
Rusty Red Scrap Iron.
I'm old square wheels, said Henry.
We're grown men.
We're grown men talking about Thomas the Tank Engine.
Alright.
And now let's move on to the best robot in this entire heat.
Oh, yes.
Trolley Rage. Built by Gareth Anstey from Dystopia.
Yeah, Dystopia was, basically it was Ripper. He purchased an old version of Ripper from John Finley, and I guess because of some contract bullshit, they weren't allowed to enter any of John's robots into the.
I believe it is contractual issues.
Yeah.
Whatever the case is, though.
You know what this looks like? It looks like the original Plunderbird with an axe on it.
It does, and it weighs 108 kilograms.
It was made out of a shopping cart, wasn't it?
Yeah, apparently it's a popular hobby in Britain that people throw shopping carts into rivers and streams.
Well, I've been in Newark, New Jersey. They do the same.
Well, see, with me, like, I work at a grocery store that's near a river.
Yeah.
Seen a lot of stuff, see a lot of ducks in that river, no shopping carts.
Yeah, well.
Well, to be fair, the river is protected by a fence, but I think you could get a cart up over your head and throw it in there.
Who do you think you are, Big Show? Yeah, I don't know. Because other than that, it just looks like a very average kind of robot. But it looks cool. I like the little... What is that? It looks like it's got pieces of the carriage on top.
Yeah, it looks like... Am I the only person in the world who calls it a shopping cart anymore?
I call it a shopping cart. You must remember, Knight. In Europe, they call them trolleys.
I know.
If you were in San Francisco, you'd be riding on a trolley.
This thing looks like it's gonna get wrecked.
I'm no.
And that's why I love it. That
it's again it's another robot that you just want that you're entering it, but you just want to send it out there and have it get smashed, basically.
Yeah, and that's what I hope it gets, especially with. You know what? Let's just talk about the two robots. Together.
We got one more before we get on to our final two competitors. Let's talk about basically the only clusterbot in this series.
Well, the clusterbot in the classical sense of the word.
Yes, Crackers and Smash.
Piloted by somebody with the best name in the whole series, Ian and Alex Botwright.
Yeah.
It's
destiny.
I don't care who you are. That is the best name for a roboteer ever.
And they're combined with the guy who also has the best gloves I've ever seen, David Weston, who he's been around. I've seen him around the Robot Wars forums, and I believe he's run the Antweight World Series a number of years.
I couldn't tell you.
He's built a lot of cool robots.
I'm looking at David. He looks like he's the guy. He's the bodyguard.
He looks like he could be an amateur wrestler. Like he could seriously beat the crap out of you. I would not want to mess with him.
I would not want to mess with him either. Yeah. Crackers and Smash. One's a lifter. One's a drum. They look really cool. Yeah.
They're very very basic looking bots, but they're apparently they're still running the half the robot is immobile.
The rule is now 55%.
Yeah, because one rule that I've always hated about Robot Wars was if your robot is going in circles, like if you lose drive in one of the wheels,
the one wheel immobilization rule.
That's what I call it, because if you're driving around in circles, you're considered immobilized and you're eliminated. That's probably the most bullshit rule I've ever heard in robot combat. And Robot Wars, the UK event seems to be the only events that have it. Because I remember I fought in Bot Blast. I lost, one of my wheels fell off, but I still managed to win, which was bizarre.
I was there for that fight.
Yeah, you were. I don't know how I won. Because I was going around in circles, I was hitting him a few times, and his weapon completely exploded.
Oh, yes, I remember that fight.
Yeah, look up Mondo Bizarro versus Circuit Breaker, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Bang!
Bang! Yeah, but, so, because the weight limit is 110 kilos, the rule is now if 55% of your robot is immobile, that's it. And, it's kind of weird, and... Again, going back to Bot Blast, we actually have a rule depending on the weight limit of the bots. Like, say you have one of your robots weighs 70 kilos and the other robot weighs 30 kilos. If the 70 kilo robot breaks down, then basically that's it. But if the 30 kilo robot breaks down, does that mean they can still go? I don't know. Post in the comments, see what that deal is, because, I don't know, it's a strange rule.
Either way, I do like the look of this, and I give them major props for originality. I'm gonna get hate for saying this, they're better. If this got into a fight with Gemini, they would beat Gemini easily.
I wouldn't call that it would be a very interesting tag match, that's for sure. With that said... Let's talk about the last two robots in this heat.
Yeah, we're going to talk about them together.
Yep.
This is either sheer stupidity on behalf of the production team or the greatest decision ever. We have Apollo, the reigning champions, and Carbide, the runner-up, in the same heat.
The last heat. They saved the best for last. This is weird because back from Series 4 to 7, they had the seeding system where basically the number 1 seed was in the first heat and the number 2 seed would be in the last heat. And then it would just go up and down from there. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 15, and onward. But no, the producers have opted because they don't want to see a repeat of the grand final.
I think that's a wise idea.
They put the champion and they put Carbide in the same heat.
I don't really think there's much we can say about Carbide and Apollo that hasn't already been said. You know, Carbide, it's the UK equivalent of Tombstone. Apollo is the big flipper that killed 3 of the 4 house robots.
And hey, hopefully they get Kill-A-Lot over this year.
Well, TR2 was able to flip Goliath because Goliath got onto it on a certain angle.
Well, you never know, because I remember I saw an event where Apollo was fighting Goliath. He almost got Goliath over.
Well, again, you have to get it at, like, if Kill-A-Lot drives onto the wedge at at an awkward angle.
Or maybe if he's carrying a robot in his claws.
Yeah.
I remember when in the House Robot Rebellion in Robot Wars Extreme Warrior Season 1, he was carrying Silverbox. He was going to put him in the pit, but then he fell forward. Tricerabot rammed him from behind. Kill-A-Lot falls on his face, and of course they didn't show it on TV because they didn't want to ruin the House Robot's image, but Kill-A-Lot ended up going into the pit.
Well, it also technically went into the pit in a Bigger Brothers heat in Series 5.
And it went to the hit in the pinball tournament, so, yeah, Kill-A-Lot, he's not the brightest.
He's not the best. He's not the Oh, wait, no, that's Mr. Psycho. But yes, that's it. We didn't give our predictions for Heat 4 and Heat 5.
Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with... it's tough. I'm gonna go with Pulsar again.
I'm going with Ironside 3. I think Trevor Wright is finally going to get his due.
Yes.
And for Heat 5...
I'm going with Carbide, because as long as they keep the blade going, as long as it doesn't break down...
As long as we always hear the death home.
And hopefully Apollo gets that last flip on Kill-A-Lot to finally fulfill its purpose of being the ultimate house robot killer.
So, yeah, my picks for each week, just as a recap, I'm going with Aftershock, Eruption, Foxic, Ironside 3, and Carbide.
And I am going with Aftershock, Eruption, Thor, Pulsar, and Carbide.
Alright. My wild card, depending on how they fare, I'm going with Concussion.
Yeah, I'll go with Concussion, or depending on how Heat A goes, I'll go with Terahertz.
Alright. So, that's it. We're probably going to talk about all the new stuff in for the series when we get to the review proper. That's gonna be like a video review.
Yeah. And I would like to say thank you all for listening. To the very few who listened to this whole thing. How long did this go? 2 hours?
Just under 2 hours.
Oh,
maybe
less. Maybe it went longer than Sam's podcast. I don't
know.
No,
that was 3 hours. We're just under 2. With editing, of course, but
yeah, with editing, of course. I'm gonna edit out some of the dead spots. There was actually a part where Nate's dog Lulu started running into the room, scratching at the door, and making a mess of the place. So I'm gonna have to edit that out as well. But I hope you guys all enjoyed listening.
I hope
next week we're going to be doing our review of Heat A after we watch it, and we'll see how it all goes. Until then, I'm the Hardcore Kid.
And I'm Otaku Nate Melbank. I promise you I'll have an episode up when I feel like it. And I hope I didn't come off as obnoxious as Brandon thinks I am.
Hey, I'm Captain Obnoxious. Alright, thanks a lot, guys. See you on the other side.
Watch out for snakes.
Cease.